everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis and welcome to this video lesson. What I'm going to do is show you how to use Microsoft Excel as a gradebook. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use your sample data from SAM 2010. So here's SAM 2010, the software that you use to do the various training and projects and also to complete your quizzes. Now if you were to click on the results section, so let me go ahead and click results. And then one of the options that I have is to view all results. Well, when you click view all results, this is what you're going to get. All of your results for all of your quizzes and your training, so forth and so on. So what I want to do is I want to take all of this information and copy and paste it into Microsoft Excel. So what I'll do is I'll just simply start over here on the top here where it says Windows Tutorial 1 Quiz, and I'll just simply drag and drop and select all of the exams. I don't care about the training because they're not counted toward my grade. So I'll just take all of the exams. So I'm going to hit Control C on the keyboard for copy. I'm going to switch over here back to Microsoft Excel, and then I'll hit Control V as in Victor for paste. Now I'm going to give this a couple of seconds, and you'll see what happens. It imports all of the data. And in this case, it looks like something weird happened to this top row. So all I have to do is just simply take all this data and move it. So I select from A1 to E1. I'm going to move my mouse pointer somewhere along the perimeter. You see now that I can move. That's the move icon. So I just simply move this over. And it says a clipboard cannot be emptied. Another program might be using the clipboard. That's fine. Click OK. There we go. Okay, so I've moved the data over. I'm going to select column A, right click, and then press delete. And let me also best fit everything. So let me click the select all button. I'm going to double click in between here, between A and B. Now that didn't do what I wanted to do. And let me make this really, really large. Then double click. There we go. And then I'll double click in between 1 and 2. Nice. So all of my data is nice and consolidated. So I'll keep this information right here where it tells me Windows Tutorial 1, Word Tutorial 1, so forth and so on. I don't have to know that these are all exams. I already know that. So I'll just simply right click, press delete to get rid of that column. I don't have to know the date, so I'll just once again right click on B, click delete, and I don't need this column, so I'll just simply press delete. Okay, so here are the student scores for the various quizzes. Now I want to make sure that I only accept the highest quiz score. So for example, between these two, it looks like the student took this quiz 2 times and they got a 94 the first time and they got a 100 the second time. So I would reject this one, the 94, and keep the 100 because I'll only accept the higher of the 2 grades. Now just for this video's sake, because it looks like the student's going to end up with 100% for everything. So just for this video's sake, I'm going to get rid of the 100 and I'm going to get rid of, let's see here, what else? Tutorial 1 for PowerPoint was taken twice, so I'll get rid of this 100. Now, normally I would, of course, I would keep the higher of the 2 scores, but just to keep things interesting here, I'll delete all of those quizzes where they got 100, and I'll just keep the lower score. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on top of row 1 and press Insert. And what that'll do is it'll insert an additional row on top. And this represents the student percent. So I'll just say student percent. And what I want to do is I want to figure out what is the maximum, or what is the grade for the student based on their current percentages for each of these different quizzes that they've taken. Well, the maximum possible, so I'll say maximum possible for each of these is 100. So let me just type 100 here. I'm going to take this fill handle, drag it down all the way like this, and then double click over here to best fit. Okay, so here's the maximum possible. Now I want to obtain the sum of all of the students' percent and also the maximum possible. So what I'll do is I'll click over here and then I'll click auto sum, and that's going to ask me a question. Do I want to add all of these scores up? Yep, I sure do. So I'll press enter. It looks like I ended up with 1181. I'll simply take this fill handle and apply it over here to this column because this is simply going to be the sum of all of the maximum possible scores, which in this case is C2 through C13. That's all of these cells right here. Okay, so I have this, the student percent, I have the maximum possible. This divided by this is going to give me my percent because in my class, all of the exams are weighted equally. So however many exams you have, if you divide them by the maximum possible, then you'll know what your grade is currently. All right, so over here, I'll just simply say equals because I'm going to enter an equation, namely this cell divided by this cell. Press enter. Okay, so I end up with a decimal number. Let me double click over here to best fit this column. Now, I don't like seeing decimal numbers. I want to see this in the form of a percent. So I'll just simply click over here, the percent style. That tells me this is 98%. I'm now going to use these two buttons over here so I can increase or decrease the decimal. Watch what happens when I click increase. See how it gives me an additional number after the decimal point? Same thing again. Or I could decrease. I think I'll just have one number after the decimal point. So in this case, it looks like the student is getting a 98.4, which obviously is an A. Okay, I don't like the formatting of all this. This doesn't look very good. So I think what I'll do is I'll select from A1 all the way to D14. And the first thing that I'll want to do is I'll want to maybe put a border around everything. So I'll select this guy over here and select border around everything. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And let me see, what else can I do? So if I select all of this, and let's say that I want to, actually let's do this. Let's select A1 to D1. Let's put a bold italic. Let's put a black background and a white font. That looks pretty good. So bold italic, black background, white font. That takes care of this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background. Looks like part of it is inherited from the copy and paste from the website. Some of these rows are gray, some of them are white. Let me change all of them to white. So I'll select all these cells and change the background to white. There we go. And I think what I'll do is I'll just add color to each of these. So let's take this guy over here, add a background color of, oh, I don't know, let's say this rose color. Take this, add the background color of green. That sounds fine. And I think I'll just do this over here in this cell. I'll just put less than, less than, less than. Your current percent, say for example. Okay, so the student is getting a 98.4. Let's take that cell, we'll make it a little bit thicker, thick box border, and maybe we'll make that bold, and let's change the background to a dark blue, say for example, or a light blue, and a lighter color, something like that, so it sticks out a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just I'll take these two numbers and I'll make them a little bit bigger in terms of the font so that they stick out, indicating that these are really sums. And I think that's it. So that looks pretty good. The student got a 98.4. Now let's say that we want to design our spreadsheet so that it will indicate if this is going to be an A, B, C, or D. So over here, I'll say your grade. Okay, something like that. So here I expect to see an A, B, C, D, or F. Well, how do we do that? Okay, there's a simple way, well, maybe not a simple way, but a more straightforward way, and then there's a little bit more of a complex way. Let me show you the straightforward way, and then in a future video I'll show you the more complex way. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to create 5 different cells. This is going to be the A column. This is going to be, well, actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do it that way. Now, let's do this. I changed my mind. I think I'm just going to go ahead and show you the direct approach here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a function, and specifically an if function, and then I'll click OK. All right, if the student's score is, or if the student's percent is greater than or equal to 90, then they get an A. So if this is greater than or equal to 0.9, notice that I put the decimal form of the percent. If this is true, that the student has a percent that's greater than or equal to 90, then I'll, in the true section, type A. Now notice what happens when I press the tab button. The tab automatically puts quotations, or when I tab to the next text box, it's automatically going to put quotation marks around the A. So I could have already put quotation marks here, or I could let Microsoft Excel do it for me. Okay, so if this is true, then we're going to make this an A. But what if it's not true? Well, then I really have to put another if statement inside of here. So let me just click OK to show you what's happening. If this is true, do this. If this is not true, so I'm going to put my cursor right here, and I'm going to put comma, and then I'm going to put another if statement. So if, and then I'm going to put open quote, close quote, move my mouse pointer in between here. If D14 is greater than or equal to 0.8, comma, if that's true, you get a B. Comma, if that's false, Now I have another if statement. And within this if statement, I'll just put quotation or open parentheses, close parentheses, put my cursor back in there. I do that. I put my open and close parentheses so that way I won't forget how many parentheses I'm supposed to put at the end. So now that my cursor is inside of this particular if statement, I'll say if D14 is greater than or equal to 70%, which is 0.7, comma, if that's true, then you get a C, comma, if that's false, so now we're dealing with the false part, I'll put another if statement in here. So if, open and close parentheses, let me move my cursor back, if D14 is greater than or equal to 0.6, now if that's true, so let me put comma, if that's true, then quote, you get a D. Now finally, I'll say comma, if that's false, then quote, you get an F. So let's see what happens when I press enter. Ah, look at this, I get an A. I think what I'll do is I'll center that. And let me put a different color for this. Let's say, for example, like an orange color. And again, I want to make sure that this thing is bold, italic, and a little bit bigger font. And I'll also make it so that it has a thick, this guy right here, the thick box border. That looks pretty good. All right, as my grades change, or as if I were to make a correction, it will automatically correct this section over here. So for example, let's say that I didn't get 100. Let's say that I got a 50 on this particular quiz. So I press enter. Okay, notice now that my grade drops a little bit. Let's say that I got a 50 over here. So I press enter. Okay, grade dropped a little bit more. Let's see what happens if I enter 50 over here. Ah, this is an 85.9, so that's a B appropriately. So let me just start typing 50s for everything, and you'll see, keep your eyes over here, and you'll see how the score is dropped every time I enter these 50s. Here now we're at 70, we're at 65, so that's a D. Another 50, that's 61, and then finally we're in the F range. So let me just go ahead and undo and go back over here to restore the student's grade. The student received very good scores over here, in fact a 98.4, so that gives you an A. Now this is not A, this is a formula using the if statement to determine if the student is greater than or equal to 90, you get an A. Otherwise, if it's greater than or equal to 80, and of course less than 90, you get a B, so forth and so on all the way down to F. Okay, so that's how you can change or determine rather what your grade is in the class. Just simply create a little spreadsheet like this. Let me double click over here and we're going to call this grade sheet. Press enter, and I'm going to right click on top of this tab, and I'm going to change the tab color. Let's say I'm going to change it to red. All right, there we go. So this is my grade sheet. I'm going to click file, and I'm going to save as, and I'm going to type gradebook. Whoops, sorry. Did that so fast I think I accidentally hit enter. So let me hit save as, and I'll say grade book. And it's automatically going to save this as an Excel workbook, so I don't have to worry about putting the extension XLSX. Click save, and there it is. Oh, I think this is what I accidentally typed. Press delete on to get rid of that. And that's it. Okay, so I hope this video lesson was helpful. This is Professor Robert Solis. We'll see you next time.